Hi everyone. So in this video I'm going to show you alternate ways to make gray that I used in this coloring page using Castle Arts, but you can use it with any kind of pencil. Because when I first started coloring this page, and I saw all the tombstones and then the crypts in the background there, I was a little disheartened because I was like, ugh, all this gray. You know, no one's interested. The coloring page was so much gray, but what might surprise you is that this may have gray in it. I colored the base in gray, but these two crypts are not gray. I did not color them in gray. I actually colored them with ultramarine blue and sepia brown. So here's just one example. You can use any kind of blue, any kind of brown. Test out what you have and see which one you like best, and that can make a more interesting looking gray building. Now obviously if it's farther away it's going to be bluer, so you're going to want to choose a darker blue like an indigo blue or some type of deep blue, and if it's closer you're going to want a lighter blue, a cerulean blue, cobalt blue. So depending on whether you're pushing it back in your picture or bringing it forward, you can alternate which blues and browns you use. And I will show you an example to show how you can make interesting looking gray buildings without using your gray pencil. I love gray pencils, don't get me wrong. It's just when you have a picture like this with so much gray in it, you're like, okay, we gotta do something different here. Because we did all the same gray, it's gonna be really boring looking. So this is where this can make it fun. All right, so now this picture, because I made the sky ultramarine blue, I chose ultramarine blue for the blue I used in the gray. So if you choose another blue in the sky, you might want to use that same blue to make your gray. So there'll be harmony. So here's the ultramarine violet and the sepia pencils from the Castle Arts Soft Touch. And I just start off, because in the background here, putting a light shade of blue. It's very quick. Shade here, quick layer here. Because you want to layer up the brown and the blue slowly to make sure that you get the shading you want, because also the darker shades that we put in for the inner parts we're still going to continue using blue, ultramarine violet or ultramarine violet blue, and I should say ultramarine blue and violet, and the sepia brown. So you always want to, in my opinion, use light shading rather than, if you press too hard, then you're going to be struggling to get the right shade of gray that you want. So you just layer it up slowly and you'll get a much more interesting looking building. Buildings are not usually my forte, but I do want to learn more in coloring nicer looking structures, buildings, and whatnot. All right, so we got the ultramarine violet down, and next over that, a nice light layer of sepia brown. And again, I'm holding the pencil all the way back, so you can see it's a very light pressure. I did print this out on cardstock, so that does help. When using cardstock paper, you can easily put multiple layers without it getting, you know, clogged up. If you don't have a lot of tooth on your paper, it's more difficult to add multiple layers. But you don't really need that many layers, you know, maybe 3 or 4. So, but you could put more with cardstock. You could put, you know, 8, 9, 10, 11. So, depending on how detailed you want to get. All right, so already we've got a nice gray shade there, right? You can see I've got the white light here on it, so it is the accurate color of it. So I've got a nice light shade base, and now I'm going back with my ultramarine violet And I'm going to be shading in a bit more in the cracks and crevices, which I think will be shaded in here, the inside here. And I'll shade in there in the windows. In my original drawing, I made the windows like glowing light inside, but this time I'm just going to leave them dark. I'm going to make the inside windows there, or door, whatever you want to interpret them as. I interpreted them as windows. You could just interpret these two as just two cement doors. There we go. So now I'm putting the shading in underneath. So I'm using, again, the ultramarine violet to get the darker areas. So I think the door will be darker than the rest of the building. So I'm pressing a little harder now, but not very hard. Just sort of a light to light medium type of. And I want to shade, you know, when you have that point, you always know the shading is going to be coming out from that. It's going to be darkest in the point, and then underneath the, I don't know, roof there, I guess you call it, on a, on a crypt there. So I'm doing the same here, a little darker on the top, and the shading in there. Yeah, so I mean, this is basically it. It's not complex idea, just to keep layering the blue and the brown, whatever blue and brown you chose. And it will come out looking like a very interesting looking gray building, or tombstone, or a crypt. So I find it, this is much more enjoyable to play around with the colors this way and experiment than just using gray, 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 gray. Gray is pretty boring looking after a while. It might turn you off to doing, if you only use gray all the time, it might turn you off to doing pictures like this with lots of gray structures and statues, but you shouldn't, because you can make it more interesting. Always add different colors in there, no matter what you're coloring, right? Just want to throw in a few more shades to add interest, right? So I'm gonna make this darker in here, so I'm adding the violet blue. And you just keep playing around with it. Now I'm adding the sepia brown here. Let's add some blue. And I am doing this very quickly, just to not make this video too long. Now I'm going over everywhere where I put a darker blue. I'm just going over with the brown. And again, you go by how it's coming out in your picture. If it's looking too brown in some area, like right here, it looks a little too brown, so I'm going back with the ultramarine violet over it. Anywhere that looks a little brown, or too brown, I should say. And if I keep layering it on and on and on, it will turn into a very dark gray color. So I'm pressing a little harder on the point here, and I'm gonna press a little harder with the sepia. You can see I'm getting very nice dark looking, almost black color here. It can look black. So this is a good alternate to using black on everything. You know, often we wear down our black pencils first, right? Because we're always trying to get those darkest areas with the black pencil, but this color combination of a dark blue and a dark brown, it can make a very close black, if not looking exactly like black. You'll see other colorists show when they, and artists, when they color black objects, they never use the black pencil, or they very rarely, they only use it after first they put on blue to make it a very deep black, and only after they put on a blue base, then they put the black pencil to make it look even blacker. So Yeah, so blue and brown also does a very convincing job of giving you a nice black color so that you don't actually have to use a black pencil, because black pencil can look a little bit too much sometimes. Like, it doesn't necessarily go with the harmony of the picture, and it can stand out too much. So you get these nice colors, and bam, there's a black line sticking out, and it stands out too much. You know, it doesn't like blend in with the picture. So like, so right here with these two things, I'm going to make the windows really black. So I'm going to make them as dark as I can go here, just to show you that. And I think it will look better. I'm going to make these two, I'm going to take out the black pencil and color it in on the right, and on the left here I'm going to just use the ultramarine violet here with the sepia brown. Now I'm going to get it as dark as I can get it here with these two windows. Let me zoom in a little. Okay, so these two, you can see, oops, zoomed in a lot there. So right here, these two windows, I'm going to make the two left little squares here. I'm going to just use ultramarine violet and blue. And get as dark as I can. Press it down a little harder, not very hard yet. I'm still layering, because I don't want to make it too brown or too blue, so I'll make sure to balance it as much as I can here as I press harder and harder and layer. And I just keep track. Does it look more blue? Does it look more brown? So I'm adding another brown layer, so now it's looking very brown. So I will go back over with the blue, and you see as I keep layering and layering, it gets darker and darker. It makes a really nice, like, dark indigo almost. It's looking like a very dark blue here. It is almost looking black. Not quite there yet. But it's getting there. I think I'm getting very close to black here. And this is, again, just ultramarine violet and sepia brown. So now I'm getting really dark. Now that looks like black, doesn't it? These two little, it looks like I just put in black pencil, but I didn't touch it with black. But now I'm going to get the black pencil. So now I have the black. Oops, here. So now on these two windows, I'm going to just go in with black and see if you can tell the difference, or if you like one better than the other, or if one looks darker than the other. So this is the ivory black from the Castle Art Soft Touch. That's all I'm using here. And I'm just going in and pressing hard there. I think it looks just about the same. Look at that. Yeah, so there's the black. So the black is equal. If not, in fact, this might be a little darker, the ultramarine violet with the sepia brown. Look at that. Does that look exactly? They look like I did them all in black. So again, these two, sepia brown, excuse me, yeah, sepia brown, not sepia, yeah, sepia brown. I'm losing my mind here. Sepia brown, ultramarine violet again. On the left, sepia brown, ultramarine violet, and on the right, black. And they look exactly the same, don't they? I think they look the same. I don't know if they look the same to you. But that's what they look like to me. So yeah, so look how dark you can. So you can get black from the blues and the browns. You don't need to even use it. And I think that it makes a better black because it just sort of blends better with the picture, because you're not necessarily going to go that dark with it, but you can get all manner of layer of gray before you get to that black. That was just going to the darkest color I could go, but you can go all shades above that just by how many layers of the blue and brown you put on the page. And it's fun. This makes it it's a lot more fun to color in gray objects when you're sort of going back and forth and playing with the two colors and getting them just right, and having fun mixing them together. And saying, oh, that looks too blue, add some brown, and it's the magic of coloring. The magic of color, changing the colors. I think it's fun. I think you enjoy it. So consider doing this for your gray buildings with any other type of gray structures when you have a lot of them in your picture, to make them more fun and interesting to color. That's all I wanted to show you, so I hope you found this helpful. Please like and subscribe, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye-bye.